Hello, troopers and shredders. Welcome to the MMA War Zone with the junkies' favorite semi-junkies, Hank the Tank, and my man on my left. Not that left, that left. The Idaho Skatesman. Two buds in MMA. We're going to break down the best and the worst in MMA, although I'll be honest, it was pretty much the best this weekend. And in the future, covering shows in the future, giving our picks, mostly giving you the news and our takes.
What's up, Hank? How's your day been?
It's been good. Had a decent day. Had a little bit of work, but it's mostly done so that I could have a podcast with my main man for our first episode. And I just wanted an excuse to talk about what a great show UFC 300 was. And maybe talk a little bit about PFL actually having a once in a blue moon cuckoo clock, broken clock being twice a day, a decent show. It was actually a decent week for MMA because there was little MMA and there was good MMA, just the way I like it. Not too much, good enough.
True, yeah. PFL, lots of finishes on that card. Yeah, the weekend was really the crown jewel was UFC 300. So we're gonna go over our picks.
Where we were right, where we were wrong, where we were right until we were wrong.
This is gonna be like a Tapology picks kind of show, but we'll be breaking down the fights. So
as well
let's get
as
right into it. First fight of the night was Deiveson Figueiredo and Cody Garbrandt. I thought Deiveson would get the KO. He ends up getting the submission in 4 minutes and 2 seconds into the second round. So give us your thoughts on the fight and what was your prediction?
My prediction was Deiveson Figueiredo as well. I wasn't as sure how he was going to finish the fight, although unlike a lot of people who picked Deiveson, I did not really think he would. I didn't think it was likelier that he would get a KO than a submission, because even though he did pretty well against Rob Font on the feet, we still are not sure that Deiveson has the kind of power that he had at flyweight. And one thing I've always known about Deiveson is that he can take people down, and he does have submission work. And even though it's mostly been guillotines, I thought he had enough good Brazilian grappling and jiu-jitsu to actually take Cody down. And I ended up being right because he swept the legs of Cody Garbrandt. Cody was piecing him up on the feet in the first round, was very technical, was using the distance well, backing up and using his reach advantage to his advantage, and piecing him up every now and again, throwing good combinations. And he won the first round, I think, definitively. So I think Cody was doing very well. The problem is that Cody doesn't seem to have that much experience when he's getting taken down to the mat. And I don't think we've seen it a lot because they put him against a lot of strikers like Kai Kara France that mostly stayed to the feet, and Kai Kara knocked him the hell out. So our main patterns with Cody was that he just had a glass chin, and we didn't consider how he could potentially get squashed in a grappling contest. And now we know what happens when he gets taken down. He tried. At one point, it looked like he was going to get up, but he just didn't have enough experience, and he was too quick with trying to escape the grappling to the point where he got caught up in Deiveson's clinches and his chokes because Deiveson's an expert. And so I think the inexperience on the ground ended up costing Cody. And I think sort of like the Charles and Arman fight, if they'd have gotten a third round and Cody had sort of kept it on the feet, I think he could have won this. I think he could have actually won the fight and barely outpointed Figueiredo to a 2-1 decision, 29-28. But unfortunately, I just think that he freaked out and panicked a little too much once it came to ground game, and he stuck his neck out, clear as day.
Is that the first submission loss for Cody?
Moment. What?
Is that the first submission loss for Cody?
Is it? I think it is because he had a really good record coming in. I don't think
he was undefeated up until the Dominic Cruz fight, and then he got KO'd a couple times. So yeah, it's definitely the first submission loss on his pro record. And then that's kind of why I was thinking KO for Deiveson. In hindsight, the submission was probably it. If you picked, let me just say, this card in particular, I don't think there was necessarily any bad picks. Obviously, there's wrong picks, but
No.
yeah, I think Tank.
These were close contests. Each one looked pretty close
Yes,
on paper, and in
I
the
think
end, looked pretty close.
I think Tank did a great job breaking down the fight. I don't have much more to add. All I will say is I think Davison looks good at 135. A title run, I don't think so because of how stacked the weight division is. I think
Mhm.
with guys like Rob, you have a hard time.
Guys
Um,
guys like O'Malley. He's Garbrandt 2.0, and he's
yep.
faster, and he has better combination and fight IQ.
So, what would you like to see next for Mr. Davison, and if you have an opinion for Cody?
I
For
I
me,
think
I
go
think
ahead.
just without putting too much thought in it, let's throw him right into the deep end. Give him a guy like Ricky Simone. I know he's coming off a loss, so
Yeah. But
that's
he's clearly
kind of fine.
improving little by little on the feet, and he still has some of that Cody magic to the point where
Mm-hmm.
I don't see him getting knocked out too often because the thing is people like to
I
say
was
that he
saying
has a
Ricky
blast
for
record.
Davison. Ricky for Davison.
Ricky for who?
Davison.
Oh, Davison Figueiredo.
Yeah,
Oh,
give him
that's
Ricky. Throw him
interesting.
right into the deep end. Give him Davison. As far as Cody goes, I don't really know. Maybe give him a step back. Give him like a. I don't know. It's hard to matchmake for Cody, and I don't know
Well,
exactly what he would
I
want.
heard from one source that he was considering maybe having him against Adrian Yanez,
Mm,
which I think would actually be a nice little jump up. And I think Cody is still deserving of
I,
vying for the rankings
I
because
think
I think he has
Yanez
decent
is
enough striking to
booked,
do it.
but I'm
What?
not sure. I think Yanez might be booked, but I'm not sure. But yeah, that something like that. Around that. I think Yanez is he was bad to crack into the top 10 or 15. I think he's moved down. So yeah, that sounds like a good matchup.
Yeah, I'd say give Cody one more chance. I think he's good enough
Mhm.
to try. Yeah,
I don't think the UFC would cut Cody. I think they'd let him go on a pretty significant losing streak before they did. Cody
right.
doesn't look bad though. I think he's having quite a bit of success after those bad knockouts. Next fight, Bobby Green and Jim Miller. I
I
had
fucked
Bobby.
you on these picks.
No, no,
I
no,
fucked you on this
no
one.
worries. I don't. I take full responsibility for my picks. I was leaning Bobby most of the week.
Right. Yeah.
I thought Jim could get it done. It's kind of just like preordained for him. But yeah, I was thinking Bobby, but then I switched my pick to Jim last
Mhm.
minute after deliberation, and fight was good. First round was looking pretty competitive, and then Bobby just kind of ran away with it.
Yeah, no, classed
At
him.
the end of the fight, you had a bloody, beaten up Jim Miller. It's kind of a classic Bobby Green performance, though. I will say he started to lose a little bit of cardio. He looked a little tired towards the end, but overall, great performance for Bobby Green after being knocked out viciously 4 months ago.
Mhm.
I liked what I saw. What about you? What's your breakdown?
I sort of see this like um, Manon Fierro versus Aaron Blanchfield, where the coaches keep telling him, shoot the takedown, Jim. Try to grapple, take him down. And he just refuses to try to take the other person down. I don't think there was a moment where I saw Jim go for it. I don't think I saw him try to take him down once. And maybe he made the read while they were striking and felt like, oh, he's too far away or he's parrying at my lead hand, so maybe I can't take him down. But if I were Jim Miller and I knew that I was starting to get pieced up by the second round, I would have at least tried and see what happened. Like Moicano against Jalen Turner. He was getting outstruck little by little. He was getting outstruck, and then he went for it, and then he got the takedown, and there he just dominated. And I feel if Jim Miller had taken Green down, it could have been a similar story. I think he could have gotten in a good position and at least taken the back. He might have gotten a face crank like he did against Gabriel Benavidez, but he just chose not to take him down once, or if he did try, I didn't see it. And in that sense, it's almost worse than Aaron in that at least Aaron tried a few times. Jim didn't try once. And to me, I think he sort of only has himself to blame for not trying to shoot the takedown, in which I think he had the clear advantage. Um, Although I will say the reason why he didn't try to take him down might have been because he got a little confident and felt a little secure on the feet once he tagged Bobby in the first round and had him on skates and had him running around.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like, oh, okay, by the second round, that's when I'm going to hit him with the left, and that's when he's going to go down, and then I can dominate him on the ground. He might have thought that he would tag him enough so that he would be in a dazed state and then he could take over on the ground, but it just never came. Or if it did come, he never took advantage. And so I think he got too cocky on the feet and he paid for it.
I personally think that this is too high up in the lightweight division for Jim to get a win. I don't think he's winning against a top 15 guy. You give him the lower level guys and the the newcomers. He looks good against them. It's a good test, but too high up for Jim Miller to really shine. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's the end of Jim's career. And Bobby looked good rebound win for him. And he's right there again, as far as in the top 15-ish. Give him a guy
this is just the start of Jim Miller's run for UFC 400 and that 400K.
Exactly.
It's just the beginning of Jim Miller's
little roadblock for 400, but yeah, I'd like to see Bobby Green against a guy like Dan Hooker. I believe he's booked, but just somewhere around there, a guy on a slide, something like that.
For sure. Jim Miller is going to survive longer than microbacteria on Mars, so he'll find his way there. And I would feed Jim another can just so he can get a nice bounce back win and make people happy. And then maybe give him one more guy that's in like maybe top 20, top 25. And if he can't do that, then sorry, Jim.
Yeah, I agree. Next fight, Jessica Andrade versus Marina Rodriguez. I had Rodriguez winning a decision. Did not go that way.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you had the same pick. So, Andrade looked good.
He did.
She looked good.
Marina looked good in moments too. They both
I agree. It was a good fight. Andrade was really hunting down Marina. That's probably the best way to put it. Landing those signature power, punches. At one point, they were like literally running. Like Andrade was running towards Marina, backing her up against the cage, and Marina was running.
She was trying to give Chelsea Chandler some competition.
Exactly.
Training for the race.
A good win for Andrade. I just don't know, man. I can't pick a Jessica Andrade fight at this point anymore.
Me neither.
She said that she had a lot of reasons why she didn't win her previous fights, but yeah, what a good win for her. I think where her weaknesses are like the grappling. So in hindsight, this was a really good fight for her win. But yeah, I regardless, she looked great.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, finish up.
Yeah, I don't know. Strawweight's kind of fallen off. 25 and 35 are looking better and better these days, especially with the injection of Kayla Harrison. So I'm not sure where Andrade goes from here. Whatever fight she's in will be a good one.
At least be a scrap on her end. Don't know about the other person's.
We need to see Andrade versus Rose 3, I think. But that's my pick.
That could happen. And it's sort of weird because Andrade is still technically in 2 divisions, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm looking at her in the rankings. She's in 2 rankings places for both divisions. Who knows where the hell she's gonna go?
Yeah, do Rose versus Andrade at 25.
Yeah, that'd be exciting. And I know both women would sort of bring it as long as Pat Barry isn't there the entire time.
He will be.
Yeah, he will. But Rose isn't going to pull an Esparza against Andrade, I feel.
Yeah, it'll be a good fight for sure. Yeah. Next fight, Renato Moicano.
Can I give my take on the fight, though?
Oh, go ahead. My bad.
I think part of this was due to chance. Part of it was her just slipping with Rodriguez because she just fell right down. She was winning that round clearly. She was piecing her up, and then she fell. And like Armin with olives, she just bam, bam, elbow, punch, and that won her the round. And I think Rodriguez won the second round barely.
Oh my gosh! And Joe Rogan on commentary was like, so stupid. He's like, "This is a bad position for Andrade." Well, she's standing there punching her in the face while she's laying on the ground. I'm like screaming
hey,
at
you
my
don't want to
TV.
be there, man. She
Yeah,
might
yeah.
get in an arm triangle and she'll have to eat her way out, man.
And she's really beating up those legs. It's like, dude, she just slipped and Andrade's punching her in the fucking face, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Anyway,
Yeah,
so
shin kicks really changed the game. They need steel cuffs. So basically she slipped and that cost her a round. If she hadn't have slipped, this could have been a split decision win for Rodriguez because it was super close. I think they probably could have given it to her if she didn't slip. But I will say she allowed herself to lose in the third round by trying to go for shots. And then she was so tired. She was like a zombie and her body was just pulling her as she punched. She was like, couldn't stop her own momentum. And she was fighting like Dricus du Plessis when he tries to throw a big swing and then whoa, she's like falling after she's trying to punch. She tried to go for it. She got too aggressive and her body was just out of her control. And she allowed herself to get sloppy. And I think that allowed Andrade to cinch up the fight with a third round victory. But I think this was super close. I think both women can strike and both women showed that they had expertise in different areas. But I think she cost herself the fight by just bad decision making and maybe bad coaching towards the end of the fight. But I think both women are on similar levels. And Rodriguez,
I would like to see,
but she just needs better.
I'd like to see Rodriguez.
More patient.
I'd like to see her run it back with Dern.
Yeah, for sure. I think she beat Dern. I think she would beat Dern. Dern is as long as she's not in a gym, she's probably going to lose.
Yeah, if she can't get the takedown sub you, she's pretty much out of water.
Yeah.
So if you're ready, we'll move on to the next one.
For sure.
Renato Moicano defeats Jalen Turner via. It says KO. I thought he got a sub.
No, he got a KO, ground and pound, hammer fist.
KO at 4:11 into the second round. How about Jalen just fumbling the bag after he knocked
we thought Ngannou's was bad. This was even more dumb. At least
it reminded me of the Thomas Almeida and Sean O'Malley fight when he knocked him down a bunch of times and tried to do a walk-off.
He did a little brag about it, and then he got right. Or when Nate the Train was raising his arms up in victory and going, "Come on, lift him up," Nam was like, "Arr!" and he went after it. It's happened multiple times. Hubris. It's the classic tortoise in the hare. Hare believes he's won already, and so Turner's already looks like a rabbit, so it actually.
Wow, he really fucked that one up. And then Renato just found his range, found what he needed to do, got it done towards the end of the second round.
Yeah, I think Renato actually looked decent on the feet compared to his Dober fight, where he was just getting pieced up, and the only reason why he won was the takedowns. But here, he actually showed some decent technique against Turner. I think he actually improved his striking just a little bit. But Turner is fast. Turner has a huge reach advantage. And so eventually you just let that tall guy get around your guard. And he did. And Jalen Turner's hubris got the best of him. And I think part of it, like, think of an alternative universe where Dana didn't promise a 300K bonus. What if he knocked Renato Moicano down and was like, well, dude, I could get 50K for this, whatever. And he, bam, hit him while he was down and just knocked him out and got the bonus. I think that 300K bonus increase might have actually cost him everything because he thought, oh, I'm just going to do a walk-off of Mark Hunt style, and it's going to look so cool that they'll have to give me the 300K. That could have been what was going through his head as he did it. And I think that if Dana White hadn't been pressured by Gaethje and Holloway in that question, we could have seen a Turner win.
I think he should have given 300K to everybody who got a finish, but that's just me.
Well, I mean, he's making so much money off this pay-per-view alone, and when Conor comes back, he's gonna make fucking bank. Probably even more than this card.
I'm over fighter pay. I don't care anymore. Since the lawsuit.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm just bleed guy now. But maybe a little bit of adrenaline dump from Jalen after getting a knockdown. But what would you like to see next for Renato Moicano?
I heard some interesting options from people. One of them was that he could fight Beneil Dariush. since he's sort of washed up. He's still decent on the feet, and it would be a big jump up from Moicano. I think Dariush is he's only how much? He's only number 7. He's only number 7, and Hinata Moicano is going to be number 10 very soon. So it's actually a matchup that makes a lot of sense. Fiziev's still going to be out for a while. I wouldn't wait for Fiziev to come back for Moicano. That's in the far distant future.
I would like to see them run it back, but Renato got fucked up bad.
He did get fucked up
when they fought.
Yeah, but who knows the timetable for when Fiziev's coming back? That's like an Aspinall injury where you just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd either have him run it with Dariush, or I'd have him run it with Hooker for a great back and forth.
What about a Gamrot?
Gamrot, because here's the thing: they're giving the lightweight title shot to Poirier, and so he's already busy with Makhachev. And Arman wants he said no to the title fight. He said no to Islam. So I say fuck him, little coward. I would make him kick rocks and have him fight someone else in the meantime, and give him a threat and say, hey, you want to stall time and you don't want to be a champion, fight below you. How about that?
Yeah, maybe have him run it back with Gamrot, but he may try to sit out for his title shot. But yeah,
then let him sit out. Let him sit out.
Yeah, I agree.
But in the meantime, I'd give him either Dariush or Hooker, because guess what, Arman? Money Moicano, if he goes up the rankings, he's going to be 4 times the star that you are, because he actually knows how to cut post-fight promos, and he can speak English worse than you, and he cuts better promos than you. So hit the bricks.
Next fight, Diego Lopez defeats Sadiq Youssef at 1.5 minutes in the first round. Oh my gosh, man. Diego Lopez is fucking coming. You featherweights better watch out. Diego mauled Sadiq, never gave him a chance to start.
Badass.
I don't even know what to say.
Wow. This guy is the next Charles Oliveira at featherweight. His power is unreal. He has incredible jiu-jitsu.
Cardio.
Can finish people off his back. And he's got unbelievable power. For like a 20-year-old, he has this power. If he isn't a featherweight champion by 2025, 2026, he's at least going to be in that featherweight division up at the very top as a gatekeeper for a very long time. That kid has unbelievable power and unbelievable technique.
I'm a little cooler on him being a champion.
Yeah.
But yes.
That's why I said if he's not.
He's coming, man.
He's a threat.
Wow. That's all I got to say. Wow.
Yeah. I'm going to look at the rankings for featherweight.
He never even gave Sadiq a chance to get anything going. Mauled him. Yeah. And deserved a bonus as well. But Sadiq, man, I mean, he took a long layoff, right?
Yeah.
And he only got the Don Shainis fight, which doesn't mean anything. I'm not going to disrespect the fighters, but it seems like I don't even fight, but I might make it the distance with Don Shainis.
Yeah, anybody could.
You know, he'd beat me, but wow. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I think if you give
got the rankings up,
if you give Diego the right opponents going forward, he could easily be a top 3 featherweight. Easily.
Top 5, yeah.
If you give him Bryce Mitchell, he kills Bryce Mitchell. You give him Josh Emmett, he murders Josh Emmett. It would be a really close first round war, but I think Emmett would probably sub Emmett like Yair Rodriguez did. And
I mean, I don't like matching guys up necessarily off of losses and ones off of wins, but would be good to see what I can't wait for this guy's next fight.
But then you have him fight Ortega at number 3 or number 4, wherever he ends up. All of a sudden, you got top 3 in the world, Diego Lopez.
That's a fight I want to see, but I don't know if Ortega wants that.
No, I'm saying this is in the future. This is like his second fight,
Yes.
his third fight.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think they could easily give this guy the Topuria treatment, where they give him just the right people and he dominates and he finds his way to the top.
Hold on, I want to correct you real quick. Topuria?
The Topuria?
Topuria?
Topuria.
Topuria? There's no E in his name.
Anyway. I thought it for a little bit. I think I heard people call him Topuria.
Yeah, MMA Guru does. I don't know why.
Womp womp womp. Well, I learned from the wrong guy then. So his name's Topuria.
Any other thoughts?
They could give him the Topuria treatment, where they give him Bryce Mitchell, and then they give them Emmett. And we're not in a Volk phase where he's beaten everybody, so he might have to wait a little while. But if they find a way to navigate him into a top 3 spot, that prints money, and you're gonna have him face Topuria at some point. I think Max could have a chance against Topuria.
Ooh.
That'd be a hell of a fight.
Caceres
versus Diego Lopez. That would be a good fight, but actually, Lopez is above him at the moment. He's number 13. You can still do it. You can still do it.
Caceres.
My philosophy is that when
he's still young, Caceres.
Yeah. All right. That's good. Give him a little bit of experience.
Yes.
I like the philosophy of somebody coming off a loss versus somebody coming off a win. See who stays. See who.
Aljo. I don't know if Aljo would take. They might offer him that though. they hate him.
Dude, if you hated Diego Lopez and wanted to take away all the star power you possibly could, you would put him against Aljamain Sterling and somehow make him have a boring fight.
I don't know. I think you'd kill. I think that'd be a good. I think that's a good test for Diego. But yeah, I mean, it's still early. We'll see what they book him next. I'm excited for his next fight. I'm
excited too, but please not Alex.
So we got Kayla Harrison defeating Holly Holm via submission. 147 into the second round. What a beatdown! I haven't seen a beat down like this
since Diego Lopez destroyed Sadiq Youssef.
Since Diego
since that fight that happened before.
I mean, this kind of went the way I thought it would. Everybody had questions about Kayla's weight. Would she be able to? Would she pull? I thought the worst case scenario for Kayla was TJ Dillashaw versus Henry Cejudo.
Right.
Wow, man. Just give her the title shot. Just give her, like she said, give her her belt. Give her her belt.
She's coming from another promotion. She's a big-time star. No one else is a star at bantamweight, and nobody cares about them. So you actually make money through having her be in a title fight, and she's good enough that she could destroy Raquel Pennington.
Oh, I agree. I mean, Rocky will make it a fight for as long as she can, but I
think unlike Bueno Silva, who's going to latch up a submission and let it go and then not do anything else, she's just going to wrap her arms around Pennington and eventually get her down. That's going to be her game plan. And she's going to have no submissions and no guillotines and no submissions that actually put her in a bad position if the person escapes. She's going to lay on top of her like Gamrot and then choke her out.
I agree.
Because she's good. And she does it methodically. She doesn't latch things up out of nowhere. She systematically picks her opponents apart. And she dominated Holly. Now, Holly Holm, I wouldn't say is the most prestigious opponent to put away because she lost her punching power. She lost that back in like 2017, 2018. She's never been a striker since then. And Holly Holm, she was the female Marab before this.
It's a mismatch.
She would lean against her opponents against the cage and then knee them every once in a while and then get no blows on them and then win the round because it's control time. So Holly Holm was not the most brutal, dominant competition before this.
No, it was a mismatch, and that.
But we clearly saw Kayla Harrison's skills at work, and she dominated, and she could have done this to, I think, probably at least 80% of the women's bantamweight.
I agree. Larissa Pacheco, in hindsight, maybe just has her number.
Yeah,
But
and she's like Andrade times 2 with her punching power. She puts people away.
Yeah, did you hear in the post-fight interview Chris Cyborg said she wants to come fight her?
Yeah, and that would actually be a war.
Neither
woman
Dana's
would
like,
take each other down.
Cool. Like he didn't give a single fuck. I think he's out of the Chris Cyborg business for sure. Not to mention she's signed by another promotion, but
well, everybody's out of the Chris Cyborg business, including Dana.
Yeah.
Just makes fun of her.
Any other thoughts on Kayla Harrison's debut?
There was a moment where she sort of slipped, sort of pulled a Chael Sonnen, where she tried to do a move and then she ended up getting taken down for it. And the mistake, I thought, oh my God, is she going to give up a round to Holly Holm? Is she going to lay on her the whole time? Are we going to see a Holly Holm submission? Please, God, no. And then Kayla Harrison reversed it because she's an actual trained medal-winning wrestler and turned the tide and just beat her up, but with elbows. Elbows! No more PFL. She can do elbows. You are free at last, free at last. Harrison is now finally free at last. Hallelujah, Lord. And so I can't wait to see her throw strikes. I can't wait for her to have range in her arsenal.
Yeah, she head kicked Holly, and I think
thank the Lord.
Pretty bad with that. And that was awesome.
Exactly. She looks great on the feet and she looks great on the ground. They really put her over with this fight.
Next 135 champ is Kayla Harrison.
Yeah, and this is exactly what Dana wanted. If this was like their performance that he wanted to make her a star, this did it. Perfect. Got people who don't even care about women's MMA talking about her performance, which is exactly what you want. And that's
like I said, it's an injection of life into the 135 division, making 135 great again.
Now I actually care.
Same, and then it's a testament to how far a difference a day makes, and we'll talk a little more about that in the Max
and not only that, Kayla Harrison is decent on the mic as a women's fighter.
Great. Yeah, she's like Michael Chandler on the mic.
She's actually likable as a women's bantamweight. We haven't had this in so long.
And I had a big gripe with Kayla for a long time. I thought she was the next star in the sport on the women's side, but then she got locked up in PFL, and I didn't like that. I understand why, but I also don't like when you sit there and say you want to fight the best people, and then
fight women in PFL.
Don't do everything. Yes, exactly. Don't do everything possible to make that happen. Now again, I don't know the ins and outs of all that.
Hey, she made her money.
Ariel has her on every fucking week to talk about the details, but I just tuned out, and so I'm just glad to see her in the UFC. This is where she needs to be.
For sure. And I think she's going to be very promotable in the future. So this is a net positive for sure. This is a win.
Okay.
And this whole pay-per-view is a win for Dana.
Agreed. And the promotion and the sport. Aljamain Sterling defeats Calvin Kattar.
Worst fight of the entire card.
Yeah, but people were hating on Aljo. Everyone hates on him. I do too. But looked great. He looked great.
Yeah, and he did what he had to do to win. And he said that if I didn't get this win, I was going to retire.
Wow.
He said that in a recent video.
So. Understandable. I feel bad. No, sorry. I don't feel bad for any fighters anymore. Aljamain Sterling's had his YouTube channel for a long time, and I think he barely breaks 1,000 views. Now, obviously, we have 0 on this podcast here, but
he's praying for a guru interview by the day.
It's just sad. It's just sad how this guy just can't catch a break.
No.
I mean, so I think he looked good. I think they're going to give him a tough fight next, but this was like the perfect fight for him. And Calvin,
you got to say this, like he didn't get struck very much at all.
Yeah, no.
He treated this like Bo Nickel. This was like a Bo Nickel fight if he didn't get the finish.
Bad loss for Calvin Kattar. Yeah.
Sad stuff, man. Put him against a striker next. Try to rebuild his reputation. Put him against a striker.
I agree.
I think Kattar still has power. I think Kattar can still be agile when he wants to be. Hopefully it didn't look like his leg posed any problems. We never saw it really like, oh no, somebody kicked his rear leg. this is the end for Kattar. Like, we didn't even see enough on the feet to even know what's even going on with Kattar, which is the worst part of this fight, to be honest, because it told us nothing about another guy.
That's a good point.
I wanted to know something about Kattar. Has
Just
he
that
recovered?
Aljo still maintains his physicality up at 145.
Right, he does, and he still gets people down, which honestly is probably the best base for moving up is grappling. I mean, Max sort of proved that somewhat wrong with his fight against Gaethje, but I think it all just depends on how you prep, how you adjust your arsenal for bigger guys, and how you do size wise. And it looks like, and let's not pretend that Aljo isn't a natural 145 guy. Like, the guy hasn't sort of been a weight bully at 135.
I think that I think that this kind of would back that performance. So yeah, I think you're on the right track with that. We'll see how he does at the top end.
Yeah, I don't think he gets too far at the top.
Sure.
I think eventually he finds a Holloway, or he finds a Topuria, or he even finds a Volkanovski who could end up giving him problems.
I agree.
Yeah. I think he can keep going higher, but I don't see him as featherweight champ.
No, and I don't think the UFC would let him. He'd be like, even if he won 8 fights in a row, you know.
No, yeah, they're probably going to stall it.
Like, well, next fight, Yuri Prochazka defeats Alexander Rakic via KO 3 minutes into the second round. A fucking fantastic fight.
Yeah. And bit of trivia, I think it was the only fight other than Gaethje versus Max that got a bonus.
That is true.
For Yuri.
That is true. I heard that Yuri was outside of the T-Mobile Arena doing some Tai Chi weird shit at midnight.
Yes,
I wasn't sure about that, but one thing that I love about this fight,
Yuri. If anyone's doing that, it's Yuri.
Crazy fucker. One thing I loved about this fight is that it's been years in the making. People don't know that. The sport moves so fast.
Yeah, they had a back and forth rivalry going into this. It lasted years.
For years, man. And I've been wanting to see this fight for a long time, and I couldn't believe people telling me this was going to be a boring fight. I don't think you can have a boring Yuri Prochazka fight.
Exactly. Yeah. Although the idea that you can't have a Charles Oliveira boring fight got proven wrong. So
I was invested in that fight the whole time, but people are very critical of MMA. I think that you, Charles Marks, are just sad that he lost.
I am sad that he lost, but I will say that it was 80% on the ground. And so I'm not going to enjoy any fight that's 80%.
We'll get into that fight, but
yeah, we'll get into that one.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the antenna that Yuri rocks.
Yeah, but he's had that for a while.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Just the man bun's fine. You don't need this weird antenna thing poking out. But
do you think it's somewhat marketable?
Yes, I think it is.
So, hey, Dana doesn't care as long as he gets money and as long
as you don't have a special walkout. Just as long as you don't have a special walkout, he's fine. Yuri looked amazing. Rakic didn't look bad.
He looked amazing. Okay, let me give my quick summary of the fight.
Go for it.
Rakic was doing really well. For like the majority of this fight, Rakic was doing very well. And he stuck to the game plan, and he kicked Yuri's legs a bunch, and he hit him with a bunch of right hands. And I wouldn't say he was picking Yuri apart, because the guy is like, you want to talk about Pereira being made of stone. This guy's made of freaking titanium.
Well,
because he was getting hit in a punch. Rakic won the first round.
Yuri gets hit. He's very hittable, and he lets himself get hit. And that's something after his UFC debut he remarked on and said, "Hey, I'm not being very defensive. I get hit a lot, but
well, remember his fights
in Japan? Go to war.
Yeah, remember his fights in Japan?
I do not. I did not watch those fights.
He was getting dropped a bunch.
Yeah, he got knocked
every
out
one
by
of his fights, he was getting dropped, and he was vulnerable, and then he found a way to win. And
That's what he
some ones
does,
he got
bro.
finished, other ones he didn't.
That's what he does, man. He's the shit, dude. I love Yuri.
Yeah. It's like Charles
think,
getting dropped every fight and then coming
yeah,
back.
I think he looked good. I think Rakic looked good too. I think that both men poured it out in the octagon, and nobody has anything to be sad about other than Rakic missing out on 300K. But yeah, man, fuck. What an amazing fight. And, you know, with light heavyweight, you're never too far from a title shot. Why don't we do Yuri versus Khalil Roundtree?
I was thinking Yuri versus Hill, if Hill recovers. I think that's the fight that everybody wanted to see at some point or another.
Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah, why not?
I'd say
Hill?
give Hill plenty of time to heal, but
Yes.
if Yuri's a number one contender who's going to wait either way, I'd rather have it with Sweet Dreams than Roundtree.
I think Hill or Roundtree's a decent fight, either one. But yeah,
both guys are great.
I like the way you're going.
Yeah. So a little more on the fight. I think Rakic should be proud of his performance, regardless of him losing, because he stuck to the game plan and looked really good upon a return fight in which he was gone for like 2 years. He looked fantastic for someone who was gone for 2 years. The ring rust was gone. It was non-existent. And
I agree.
I think he should keep that kind of motivation, that mindset going into his next fight, because I think in any other circumstance he would have won a fight against an opponent with that kind of thinking and that kind of style. But Yuri is just tough as hell, tough as a motherfucker. Obviously the chin survived from the Pereira fight because he had a fucking granite chin in this fight, and his legs took a bunch of damage. But Yuri just grinds through him like a Chad, and then hits him with an uppercut, and now he's got you on skates because of his unorthodox style.
A Chad sec.
Yes,
check.
Sir. Yes, a check. And he's just tough as hell, tough as nails. He can be in a 5-round fight with Glover where he's got 20 seconds to go and flip it around and submit him. So, Yuri
craziest fight I've ever seen.
Who is he? It wasn't his name's Seksek, right? The guy in one, the man who something, the man who falls to no one.
Sexon, the man who yields to no one.
The one who yields to no one. You could give that nickname to Yuri in a heartbeat.
Sure.
Because he acted like it in this fight, and he grinded.
I love this fight. I love this fight, man. It was great. And
good for Yuri. And I was so happy to be wrong. So happy to be wrong.
I had it going to decision, but that was a dumb pick on my part. Hank even warned me of that.
Yeah. Good for what was I? Good for Rakic for keeping this on the feet. Everybody expected him to get a bunch of takedowns, but he stood and he banged. So respect to Rakic. Yeah,
for sure. Bo Nickel defeats Cody Brundage via submission. Round 2, 3.5 minutes in. I picked 3rd round KO. I thought Nickel would be able to knock out Cody with his speed. Turns out he actually had a lot of problems with Cody on the feet. And
it depends on how you define on the feet, because there wasn't a lot of striking involved between the two of them.
Right. So once he kind of noticed that he couldn't just obliterate him in one shot like he has been, I think he was good. I better take this guy down. But yeah, dude, Cody hung in there, and Bo even apologized to Dana immediately after the fight, which I think is a mistake. I understand what the deal is with him. Everyone's very critical of Cody. Everyone's very critical of Bo now because they
saw him go to a 2nd round.
I don't even understand the hate that he gets, man. I mean, I do, and then I just think it's stupid. I think MMA fans are just ridiculous, but
I think it's not Bo's fault. If they have anyone to criticize, it should be the UFC.
Yeah, I think Bo doesn't necessarily. I mean, anytime you get a win, you move forward, but he kind of just stayed. You could say he took a little bit of a step back as far as what his stock. You know, we projected he would be on a rocket ship, and now he's kind of just on the Ferris wheel, moving slowly up to the top.
Because here's the thing: they're not treating him like a Lopez. They're not treating him like somebody where, okay, let's give him a little step up. Okay, let's give him a little step up. Okay, he made it. Now let's take him to the rankings. They're like, we got to really build this guy up as a world
I think
beater. I
that's the
think it's
right
their
move.
mentality. We got to have this guy be around forever and beat a bunch of
A
guys, and
couple
then
of
we give it to
people,
him.
a couple people I talked to, the only guy they knew on the card was Bo Nickel, because they're
Yeah,
not really MMA fans, but they're wrestling fans. So
wrestling fans.
it was great to put him there, and whatever. I mean, good for Bo. He got a win, and I'm excited. I am excited to see what he does next.
He took Cody Brundage down in the first round, and he dominated him for the first round. So there's no reason to really complain about that. And there's some guys that you just can't sub instantly. There are some guys who just have the physical proportions, just have the preparation, and you don't tap them immediately. It's expected. The point is that he took him down the second round. He got the backpack, yeah, and then he got the rear naked choke. That was a sucker punch, rear naked choke.
It was a good one.
He looked good throughout. If it wasn't going to be the first round, it was going to be the second round. And I think that Bo should still work on his striking, because I think he can improve his striking, because based on the Val Woodburn fight, he can clearly go in the pocket.
He's fast. He's fast.
I can't wait to see what he does on the feet in the future, as long as he keeps it up, because I think he's got the wrestling and the grappling stuff handled. He's like a male Kayla Harrison. So, he's just going to keep going, and as long as he keeps improving his striking and trying to prove himself on the feet slowly but surely, we're going to get a prospect, quite the prospect on our hands. But they need to build him up better, and they need to give people reasons not to hate him and put him on prelims for once in their fucking lives, and try not to make him like Damien from The Omen.
Bo Nickel versus Dennis Seaver next. That's my pick for the next fight.
Yeah, great. Let's give him another tin can, like a
next fight. Arman Tsarukyan defeats Charles Oliveira via decision. I'll let you cook.
All right. So, first of all, I think Oliveira still looked decent on the feet. He was still cracking Tsarukyan with good left hands and right hands and getting through the guard. But the thing about Arman is that he's an Eastern European man, and so he doesn't fall to strikes, and he doesn't tap out to submissions. He tries to be a Khabib 2.0, and he just walks through shit like a Czech Chad, Yuri Prohaska, except instead of strikes, it's submissions. So, first of all, he slipped. He pulled a Moreno Rodriguez, and he slipped. So that's already rookie mistake. And Charles locked up the guillotine. And I was already super impressed that Charles locked in a super tight guillotine. And if this were any other opponent, probably would have tapped him. But unfortunately, we have a Khabib. And Khabib got out and moved the legs around. And then he popped his little head out like Khabib or Alexander Volkanovski, because he's tough as nails. And I'll give him credit for getting out. I'll give him credit. I was really impressive that he got out. But then again, it's sort of in the genes. So he was going to get out either way. He held Charles down. Wasn't it the second round that he hit him with a bunch of yeah, it was the second round that he hit him with a bunch of The first round, he just sort of laid on him. Did nothing, and then he laid on him. And Charles, obviously, he's pulling an Anderson Silva. I am not going to allow this guy to do anything, but I'm not going to allow myself to do anything either. And I'm just going to grab the arms and lay and pray and get through to the second round. I think that Charles won the first round because I think he had more damage, and I count submission attempts as more point worthy than control time. So I think that Charles won the first round. Very close round, but I wasn't impressed by Arman in the first round. I wasn't impressed by Arman in the first round. Then the second round comes around, and good for Arman. He takes him down. I mean, he takes Charles down, and he presses him against the cage, and he takes him down. Great. And then he lays on him for another 5 minutes. He gets some elbows in, which was nice.
Arman slander, man. Oh, man.
He takes him down. And he gets some elbows on Charles. Good for him. He got the elbows. I'm glad that he cut him open. That is a clear Arman round. I will say I'm not a delusional Charles Oliveira fan where I'm going to say, oh, well, Olive's won all 3 rounds because he got that submission every time. It's not true. He won the second round. but I still wasn't impressed. I wasn't impressed that he didn't do much while he had him down. He got the elbows, which was nice, but that was the one thing he really did in the second round. The rest was just making sure that he was on top, Bryce Mitchelling his way to a win, like him against Dan Ige. And so I didn't really get to see much from Armin in this fight because neither man really did that much to each other. You can't really say, oh, this was great for Charles. Oh, this was great for Armin, because neither of them chose to do something spectacular. It was clear that neither of them wanted that 300K bonus. Charles cinched up the arm triangle, and he's a fucking Eastern European, so he wasn't going to tap to that arm triangle. So there's no, oh, if it had been 5 more seconds, he would have tapped him. Nope. He's a freaking Eastern European, so his head would have popped out. So there's no choke, and I'm not even going to delude myself into thinking that he had a chance to tap him. So round ends. It's 1-1 going into the third. People who are saying, oh, this fight is so cool so far. I didn't think it was cool that much. I'm the guy who likes more scrambles, like Armin versus Islam. I thought that was cool. They're going back and forth. They're in a chess match. They're seeing
Armin versus Gamrot.
Armin versus Gamrot. They're doing different styles on each other to see who's the superior grappler. This wasn't to see who was the superior grappler. This was to see who had better Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and it was Charles. I mean, this was basically Chael versus Anderson Silva, except without the submission. Am I right on that, or am I wrong?
You're completely wrong. But I'm interested to hear how you scored the third round.
Okay. The third round comes around. I think Armin pieced him up with some jabs, which was decent. And then Charles threw a few as well. I think some of those landed. And then he took him down. And then he was on the ground. And he laid there. And Charles grabbed him and made sure he didn't get up. And then in the final seconds, he gets a Darce on him, and he's got the submission. And the thing about him going limp, he probably went limp to try to get out as a way to squeeze his head out. Mm-hmm. But I will say that's sort of a dumb move. It's sort of a dumb move.
Because the referee jumped in and was about to stop it.
Yeah, if this were another moment like a Daniel Lacerda versus an Edgar Shirez, that would have been over. If this were a Ben Askren versus Robbie Lawler, that would have gotten stopped. And I don't think Armin could have complained as much as he wanted to, but he would have had himself to blame if he went out and the referee called it. So that was a risky as fuck move from Armin, and it paid off. Good for him. But it was still very risky. I don't think he passed out to it. I think if it had stayed there for maybe a few more seconds, who knows what would have happened. That one I actually thought was way closer to being a finish than the arm triangle. It all depends on whether or not you qualify the submission as being more than the punches. And we could go around and around in circles all day about what matters more. I personally think that submission that looks really tight and he's stuck in it forever means more than a few pitter-patter shots.
Sure. So how'd you score it?
I don't know. Honestly, that could be a draw round. That could be a draw
10-10 round.
Yeah, it could be.
Okay. All right, man. Look. Okay. So Armin looked really good to me. This is probably, as far as finishing threat, knockout, or submission, this was Armin's toughest challenge, and he passed it with flying colors, in my opinion. Besides that third round submission he was in. When Charles would disengage on the clinch, Armin had an elbow for him. When he would when he would zig, Armin would zag. He tries to disengage off the clinch, Armin takes him down. The elbows were good. My personal opinion on the fight, because I am not I love Charles Oliveira's fights. He's a very exciting lightweight. Just down to fight anybody. I love it. Though I am not a mark for Charles. I think that he is now showing early signs of being washed. He's not offensive enough in spots where he is the nail.
He sort of looked like he did in the Islam fight a little bit, where he was throwing knees that weren't landing, and he was throwing little shots that were hitting the guard.
Dude, he got smoked by Islam quick, and he got washed in that fight. That wasn't even a contest to me. Arman had an answer for everything that Charles did. Now
I don't know if he had an answer for everything on the feet.
I think he did, man.
I think it was more in the grappling that he was able to reverse more.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll have to go back and watch it, but
consider what would happen if it was 3 rounds and it was solely on the feet.
I don't know. Arman wins.
I think that Charles was a little better at getting through the guard with bigger shots.
Yeah,
That's just my opinion.
But again, you can't win a fight being, the kickboxing from Charles and the Muay Thai is good, but you can't win a fight letting somebody clinch you and then not having an answer. You can't win a fight laying in guard.
He got too stuck in the Anderson Silva mentality.
No, man, he's too complacent. He's showing signs of a washed fighter. He's too defensive in positions where he needs to get out and create a scramble for a better position. He let Arman win this fight.
He was doing the similar thing with the arms against Dariush.
But
what he did with Dariush
Arman's too good.
He got an arm bar out of it, and that's how he got out. But there was
Arman's too good.
Arm bar to be found this time.
Arman's too good, and I do not think that you lose an entire round. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Arman was about to finish the fight at any point in the 3rd round.
No.
But you can't, dude, you don't win the round if you do nothing and then you lock up a submission in the last 20 seconds. I just don't believe that, man.
You can give it to Arman. I'm not gonna go down with a fight. It's clearly a very close round. And
no, it's not a close. It's not a close round. It's not a close round, dude.
I think it depends on scoring. It's not even like, oh, who's better? I just think it's a scoring. It's a battle of scoring ideologies.
I guess. I mean, if you lose an entire round and then you lock up a submission in the last 15 seconds, do you win the round?
If nothing was happening from either guy.
That's not how I saw it, though. I think Arman won the first 4.5 minutes of the round handily. So that's just the way I score it.
But did any of it look like, oh wow, he put him in a position where he's up.
What do you mean? Oh yeah, totally. Totally. Charles did almost nothing.
How many shots did he hit him with before he took him down?
I have no idea. I'd have to look at the striking stats, but I would say at least 15, 20.
Okay, to Charles's, how many you think?
Probably like under 10.
Yeah. Ugh. It's just so stats based. It's so rules based. I think you.
What are you talking about? That's okay. Look, this is what I said live. I said, Pride rules. 10-9 scoring. Arman wins the round, dude. Like, if we're talking Pride rules, Charles wins that fucking fight. But we're not. This is not Pride. This is UFC, and it's 10-9 score. You have to give a 10-9 score. You cannot score that round 10-10, bro.
Yeah.
So
you can give it to Arman.
I think Arman looked good. Again, I think he had an answer for just about everything Charles did, and Charles just gave the fight away. Didn't do enough.
He's stuck too close.
That being said, I don't think Charles' stock goes down. And again, Arman just stays right where he's at. He's probably going to be your next he has the potential to be your next champ, I think, out of everybody in the top 5.
Yeah, but I think that Islam striking is too good for him. I think he's got way better
sure,
sambo.
sure, and
I,
it's weird
I'm
that
not
all of a
impressed.
sudden, all of a sudden people are fans of Islam when we talk about Armin.
I actually liked it. I actually liked Islam after the second Volk fight because he actually showed a lot of class to Volk and even got a
Yeah,
gift for his daughter. He's always been a
yeah,
nice guy. A dude punched through his TV screen when he beat Charles, and he sent the guy a new TV after he saw the video. Like
yeah. I mean,
he's not part
I'm
asshole,
not,
part good guy like Khabib. He is
I'm
a
not
good
like
person.
the only fighter that I'm a real fan of is Robert Whitaker, so I'll be
Yeah,
biased when it comes to him.
of course.
But I'm
I'm
not
a
too
fan of
up or
both these
down on
guys.
fighters, man. I'm not too up or down on fighters. I think
Yeah,
Islam got 2 gifts. I think
yeah.
he damn near
Which
lost the
isn't
fight to
exactly his
Alex.
fault.
I think he damn near lost the fight to Alex, and he KO'd him in the second fight. That was good, but I
Yeah,
don't really see that as like
respected.
spectacular. Um, but yeah, man, I think people were just way too high on Charles for good reason. But I'm not, and that's why I think Charles needs to figure out what the fuck he's doing.
I think Armin does give Islam a threat, but I don't see him knocking out Islam at all. I think Islam, if
Oh
they
yeah,
put him on
definitely
his
not.
feet, he does him like he did Charles.
And that's the problem with Armin is his lack of finishing ability. Unless we're talking about against
His chin's
Dariush.
open. His chin has been open. He has been knocked out. He's been knocked almost out cold by Joaquim Silva, of all people.
Sure.
So his chin's open.
Yeah. I want to see Charles fight Justin.
Me too. Me too. I want to see
So
the sequel.
let's
I do
move
not
on to the
want
next
him.
fight.
I don't want him versus Gamrot at all.
No. Let's move on
Even
to the
with
next
this,
one
yeah.
because we got a lot. I got to go to bed soon.
I know. Did I
And
say one quick thing?
oh yeah, of course.
I think Armin has mixes of gray, moral gray area. He has good moments. He has bad moments. Fuck his coach after the fight for saying, "Yeah, cry, guys, cry," after the split decision, for just rubbing it in people's faces afterwards. Little asshole. After a close split, and he's already just treating him like he's the best. I think that guy's a fucking moron. So I hate his coach. Anyway, just wanted to give him a special shout out in case he was tuning in.
I'm
All right.
sure he is.
Yeah, I'm
he
sure.
listens to this podcast.
Yeah. Let's get
Max
to
Holloway.
the people's main event
Yes,
and the thing that people are going to be talking
yes.
about for years to come.
Max Holloway defeats Justin Gaethje via KO at 4:59 of the 5th round.
My God.
My God. Look, dude.
This is why you're a fan. This is why you become a fan of MMA.
Now, was the fight like it was a dream? I think it really picked up steam as the rounds went.
In the 4th and 5th rounds were the best rounds.
You know, at one point Justin threw a punch and just like fell. It was weird.
Yeah.
And look, I'll just throw this out there. I've said this many times on many a podcast and in many a stream. Fuck Justin Gaethje, right? Fuck Justin Gaethje. How can you claim to be a patriotic American and go hang out with Ramzan Kadyrov? Fuck you, Justin Gaethje. He has me blocked on Twitter. Good. Fuck you. But in the cage, how can you not fucking love and respect
Justin Gaethje as a fighter?
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
He is the human highlight.
I mean, Max Holloway, just
he looked so good at 155. He looked shredded. He did the weight. He did the bulk up perfectly. He looked like a Greek god.
He kind of fucked up Justin Gaethje a majority of the fight. Gaethje got licks in, but look, I mean, I watched a lot of striking breakdowns with Max, and that performance against Cater was an all-time performance. But this tops it easily. But one thing you cannot do against Max Holloway, and this is one issue with Justin, is you notice every time he throws a right hand, he lines it up first, and then he he always telegraphs the right hand with that
Yeah.
jabbing left, and it catches
Yeah.
guys like Michael Chandler when they're in a
Yeah.
brawl, right? But
that can easily get red.
Max's lateral movement and his just impeccable footwork does not allow for you to catch him super clean. Now he did at one point, and it was not ruled a knockdown. So actually, Max still hasn't been knocked down after absorbing over 3,000 significant strikes. He still has not been
Max
knocked
Holloway. Yeah, I slept.
down.
Let's go. I slept. Nothing
And
happened.
you know, you can't I kind of feel like Justin throws the right hand like a pitcher. You know, he's always got that wind up, just a small one, right? He would knock most people out clean with that punch, but
he still hesitates before it.
And you just can't do that against Max Holloway. He's too good with his lead hand, steering you in any which direction he wants and anticipating where he wants to go after a punch is thrown, or just before. So
and he's the best boxer. He's the best boxer.
So, man, in my head, I saw the point coming. I didn't think he would actually do it, but dude, when he pointed to the octagon in the middle, he said, "Let's do it right here." And Justin was like, "Let's go. This is what I've been waiting for." And he baited him after beating him up most of the round. He baited him. Survived a lot of leg kicks. We'll just say that real quick.
Which is impressive for Max Holloway. That's really impressive.
And he baited him in, and he delivered one of the greatest knockouts you'll ever see in the UFC. Now,
one of the all-time great moments.
We can have a debate over where it actually ranks in all-time UFC or MMA KOs, but it's top 10.
It's up there.
It's top 10 easily. Wow, Gaethje's never been out cold, and he fucking cold deaded him. Fuck, dude.
What a war, and what a finish. People are going to be remembering this one. This is the fight that they're going to associate with UFC 300.
I screamed my head off. Had all the windows down in my house. It was kind of a hot day, and we just kind of went wild. I'm surprised we didn't get the cops called on us. But wow, man, wow, Max. I think do you have any thoughts? Do you want any more breakdowns on this particular match?
I can further break it down a little bit. So Max is just really good at combinations. He's really good at getting in the pocket, sort of like Poirier is. And he's really good at avoiding shots. And even if he gets hit, he's got a granite chin. He bases his moveset off of video games. So that's why he was able to get that spin kick on Gaethje multiple times.
Broke
and he
his
had
nose,
the confidence to know that Gaethje would not take him down if he tried to pull some spin shit. So he pulled it off whenever they got close. Max was a master at hitting him while they were close in this fight. If he was close and he could do it, he did a spin kick and broke his nose, or hit him in the body and tried to break a rib. If they were close and he had his arms up, 1, 2, 3, and every time he did that, Gaethje would be wobbled Gaethje meme. I think a problem for Gaethje, and he's had this throughout all of his fights, he doesn't get knocked down, but he always looks like he's hurt in any exchange where somebody gets the better of him. He always like, ooh, and he shakes a little bit.
The human weeble wobble.
Exactly. And if he does that, he loses rounds automatically. It does not look good for the judges. So that's what lost him like 3 rounds to match Max Holloway, beyond him getting dominated in those rounds for the most part. Just the visible damage of him getting wobbled around almost immediately takes the rounds away from him. So Max looked great at lightweight. He only got wobbled once, and it's a miracle he even got wobbled, to be honest. People thought he was going to break Max Holloway's chin. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
I thought it was a possibility.
There was a possibility, but he made the weight perfect. This isn't like Cody Garbrandt in flyweight where he goes down, and so he's easier to get chin.
Well, the problem with the fight, the optics was that that loss to Poirier. But the problem with fighting Dustin Poirier is he's a little more defensively responsible than Justin is.
And remember, he took that on short notice. He didn't have the ability to bulk up and look good and not have his head fall off his shoulders when he got beaten up. So he gave him much more time to build around the neck, build around the head, build the muscle around the frame so that he looked like a stone-faced lightweight by the time he moved up. And he was just better on the feet. And I think even if it was on short notice, he'd at least make it close. He'd make it look like the Poirier fight. I wouldn't count out Max if this was on short notice because he just is a better striker in general. And so I think he took the first 3 rounds. This is already a win for Max if Gaethje doesn't knock him out. Props to Gaethje for staying in there with a broken frickin' nose and breathing out of his mouth for almost the entire fight and wobbling Holloway. They can count that as not a knockdown, but I think Gaethje can go with his head held high that he made him slip and actually cracked him.
I agree.
But by the time the 5th round came around, and the thing about Gaethje, and the reason this was a BMF fight is because both these guys want to put on a show regardless of what happens. And by the 5th round, they put on a frickin' show. And people who say, and that includes you, that they said, oh, he baited him in, and props to you for making that assessment. I think Max, if anything, was doing Gaethje a favor, where he was saying, dude, you're going to lose this fight anyway. You might as well trade with me and have a puncher's chance of beating it with. So if anything, I think Max almost gave himself away if he'd have gotten really cracked with a big one. But instead, he's the best boxer in the UFC. Sean O'Malley, he's getting close. But he's the best boxer in the UFC. And that duck down was freaking Tyson-like, where he had his head right next to his freaking rib cage to get that right hand. It was a thing of freaking beauty and just masterful from Gaethje.
All time,
from Holloway.
All time
moment.
Knockout from Jerome Holloway. And
that's like Yair getting the reverse elbow in Korean.
Kind of reminds me of Sugar Ray Robinson, his career trajectory. That's someone for you to look up a little later. But
Sugar Ray Robinson was the boxer in the 40s and the 50s, right?
Yes. No, 50s and 60s.
Yes.
Yes.
He was in Raging correct. Bull, right?
Did him dirty in Raging Bull? They made him look like a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, it made him look like a villain, like a piece of shit.
Sugar Ray Robinson is a
class
looking man. They made him look like a weird fucking guy in that movie. He beat the shit out of Raging Bull many a time. And Max kind of reminds me of him.
Jake LaMotta,
in his UFC run. I think it's very Jake LaMotta. Thank you. Now we got to run through these next couple fights real quick because it's getting late. I got to go to bed.
All right. Weili Zhang versus Yan Jianao. Do you mind if I do a quick recap?
I'll just say what I need to say on it real quick. I question whether or not the fight should have been stopped after Yan Jianao was clearly asleep.
Should have been stopped twice.
At the end of the first round. In the second round, she got almost TKO'd. Probably, again, as you said, should have been stopped. And me and Hank actually talked after the fights pretty extensively. So I won't go into too much detail. But Yan looked really good. I don't think she has too much to be sad about. This fight should have been in China.
Performance. Her biggest threat.
This fight should have been in China. And I think that you guys would be smart to maybe go against the underdog or cash some money on the underdog in Weili's next fight. Go ahead, Hank.
I think Weili looked dominant on the ground. They should have given the submission victory to her. In my opinion, if you check the footage and see that someone was out before the bell rang, you should just give the submission victory to her. Like
I know what Jason was thinking, man.
As if it was a doctor stoppage after the round. Just give it the submission win. Otherwise, it just creates so much bullshit. And if the person who got the submission loses, guess what that would be? That would probably be a no contest because you had enough BS to make it look undefinitive. So the referee did a horrid job. I hope they don't let him back in the UFC for another 3 months so that he can learn some officiating elsewhere.
And Jason Herzog is usually really good.
Yeah, it's a shame because he really messed this one up bad. And then so she got the first round sub. I'm counting it as a first round sub from now on. And then if not, she got a round 2 KO. They took this away from her because it's always a female fight where whenever it's big ground and pound and you have to, it's a women's fight, so you have to adjust yourself higher to get the ground and pound, and the person on the bottom slightly moving, they don't count it as a KO. So they need to change the rule set and tell these refs that if a woman is grounding and pounding another woman and it doesn't look like she's out, she is freaking out. So count it as a knockout. They need to change the rule set for the female fights with ground and pound. Other than that, I think it tired Weili Zhang's arms out. It tired her whole body out. She was washed. She was gassed by round 3 and got clipped by right hands. Now, to be fair, that's on Weili for the kicks because she messed those up and got caught. She did mess up on the feet in that regard, but she was tired as fuck when that happened. So they could have easily just taken this fight away from her. And so luckily enough, she's like stamped fair tax where she gets dropped and then she comes right back up like a Terminator and then takes you down. And that's exactly what she did. I'm shocked at the amount of times she got dropped by Jan. I was actually like sure she was going to get knocked out. She got dropped way too many times, but Jan never capitalized. And so Zhang Weili took over and she pounded her out to a win. And she's my favorite female MMA fighter, Zhang Weili, because she is such a Terminator and a badass. She's like a female Volk. So I love her. I'm glad that she won. She did look vulnerable in this fight, though, but it was kind of via bullshit. So I'm not going to count that against her too much. But she looked fantastic. And by the end, she looked dominant. And she won. In any way you want to say she won, she won. So this, I don't think this takes away from her. I agree with your point that you should consider sprinkling money on the underdog. And I think it was kind of stupid that most people were completely counting Jan out. Completely counting her out because she showed that she can knock out a fucking Andrade. So give the woman.
And not only that, the resilience of her really showed too. Whether it was due to referee error or not.
She had energy in the 5th round. Good for her. She's got gas. So, good for her.
Alex Pereira defeats Jamal Hill via KO 3 minutes into the first round to cap off this incredible night of fights.
This was great for as long as it lasted.
There's a really good striking breakdown I'm going to watch. Luke Thomas did. But it was the hand battle, the lead hand battle. They were kind of like, baiting each other, like not baiting each other, but, just like, hey, you go, I go, you go, I go. And in that sequence, and in that sequence, Alex's paw in his left hand or his right hand in this instance, and just switches up the timing and bam, chins Jamal and goes in for the ground and pound finish, unlike Jalen Turner, and did him dirty, fucking dirty, did Jamal Hill dirty, man, and a lot of people were happy to see.
He treated him like he was Izzy's son or his uncle.
Yeah, a lot of people were happy to see Jamal get his comeuppance. I always fade Jamal Hill. It's because of his physique, which I think is probably not the best judge of who's going to win a fight. But this guy needs to get. I think this guy needs to get in shape a little bit better, and possibly whether or not he does take the game a little more seriously.
He needs to go to David Goggins' stat and get a 6-pack.
Alex is an anomaly. He's that dude, and how can you not love this guy?
It's impossible. I don't think he's done anything that you could say, oh man, this guy's an asshole. I've never seen it in my life. He's a wholesome family figure. If you want to be a degenerate, you can say, oh, well, he was a drunkard while he was in Brazil. Well, guess what? He was born poor on the streets in a hut and had to be a mechanic. So he's lucky that he's not dead in general, because most people would be. And he drank and he used it to cope. And guess what? He's not drinking anymore, or at least he's not drunk anymore. That's the one knock you could possibly give against him in terms of his behavior. Every other instance, he is a class act, a nice guy. Even though he's in the U.S. and he can't even speak English, he's wholesome and he's making friends with everybody. And he's a complete sweetheart to his friend Glover Teixeira, his father figure. Got him a car. How can you not like this guy? Everybody loves him. Media loves him. The fans love him. He's everything that Dana could possibly want in a light heavyweight fighter. Fuck John Jones. Alex is the ultimate fuck you to John Jones. This is what we should have had for 6 years and not John Jones.
Yeah.
He did him like Machida. He did him like Machida. So maybe we're in the new positive Jones era.
Welcome to the Pereira era.
That's
man,
put that on a shirt.
I gotta get out of here. But any other thoughts?
I think this was an all-time great show for the UFC. I'd say it's in the top 5. I wouldn't even say like small top 10. It's top 5. For that Holloway versus Gaethje finish alone, it's top 5. I want to see what the pay-per-view numbers are for
Me too.
this one because I haven't seen them. I don't know what it'll be. Like I think it'll at least crack 1 million because it's a big anniversary show, so people are going to watch it. Does it crack 2?
No.
Does it crack 2 million? No way it cracks 2 million. It's maybe like 1,200,000, 300 at best.
Over 5. I'd say it's around 8.
Yeah.
We're just not knowing anything at all and being 12:30 at night my time. But anyway, Hank, this has been great. We're gonna recap, or we're gonna preview the fights upcoming.
There's some good ones, in the week, especially in boxing. We got a lot to cover in boxing. A one-man.
Be sure on the lookout for that. We'll get our viewers up, man, and it's been good. And can't wait to see what the future holds with you, my friend.
Pleasure.
All right, man. I'm getting out of here. I'm gonna end the stream. Take it easy, y'all. This has been the Hank and Skate podcast, episode 1. And let's do it, man. Let's get it done. All right, we're out of here. Take it easy, y'all. And there it is, my brother.